start the timer.
All right.
Let me reset. Ready?
Mm-hmm. America's crisis. America is struggling with a substantial drug crisis. With accidental drug deaths overtaking accidental car and shooting deaths, it has become a threat to America. According to The Economist, every 25 minutes an American baby is born. It is addicted to opioids. In addition, according to Jen Christensen, heroin-related deaths increased 439% from 1999 to 2014. Then she goes on to illustrate how fast drug death rates are. It took about 50 years for the rate of heart disease to double. It took drug deaths a fraction of that time. The epidemic has gotten so out of hand that the only comparable crisis is the HIV crisis when it began in the United States in the 1980s. It's time for the U.S. to take action and reduce the drug rate by reducing drug entry into the United States. To reduce drugs in the U.S., it's paramount to secure the U.S. border between Mexico due to the large trafficking network. This is my question. In order to ensure the safety and protection of American citizens, is Trump's wall more effective or is sensory technology more effective? Trump's wall. So the concept of Trump's wall is very simple. The idea is to create a 1,954-mile long cement wall that's also towering at 50 feet high. The main purpose for this wall is to protect the United States of America from unwanted imports. The wall could provide a strong defense against incoming drugs, which would reduce the current drug crisis in the U.S. Limitations. The concept of Trump's wall is very simple, although the wall is fairly simple, it has a lot of limitations. The first limitation is cost. The production is estimated to cost $10 to $12 billion. For the U.S. government would have to pay for labor and material. In addition, the government would have to pay for private properties around the border so they could build through it. Second, the wall will negatively affect the environment. The border between the U.S. and Mexico is a crucial part for various species migration patterns. For instance, the black bear migrate to Mexico to mate with bears in the Mexican region. With Trump's wall blocking Mexico, it will disturb the process and have damaging effects on the black bear population. Thirdly, the wall could have weak points due to the geology of the border. Along the border, there are various environments that could create weak points in the wall. For example, there's various sandy environments which shift frequently, which will create an unstable foundation, which in turn will make the wall itself weak. With these various points making the wall weak, it ultimately contradicts the point of the wall. Sensory technology. Sensory technology is detection of inputs from the surveillance area. Detection could include heat, movement, and even sound. Currently, U.S. have deployed several forms of sensory technology. According to Ron Nixon, the U.S. government have tower drones, aerostats, giant blimps attached to the ground, and can hover as high as 5,000 feet. Helicopters using powerful infrared sensors and video cameras also patrol the skies. Although the U.S. have been using sensory technology to protect their borders, they should further develop sensory technology to improve security around the very long border. The main limitations have to deal with conflicts between environment of the technology itself. For example, again, according to Ron Nixon, predators and aerostats, for instance, cannot fly in thunderstorms or high wind. The high-resolution cameras cannot see in thick brush that grows along the Rio Grande, and wildlife or cattle can set off sensors, sending border patrols chasing false alarms. Another potential limitation is hacking. Due to the form of sensory security, it's technology, so it itself can be hacked, which will jeopardize the safety of the border. Unlike Trump's wall, sensory technology can adapt easily. For example, smugglers are able to intercept certain data about the sensory technology protecting the border and tweak their strategies. However, according to Frank Longoria, an assistant director of field operations for the border security, said that the fact that they are trying to find out more and more creative ways to get their drugs and smuggle people across shows that the layered system of technology and people is working. He continues to say, we want to make it difficult for them to operate as we can. The cameras, blimps, and other equipment gives us the ability to do that. Another reason why it's more effective than Trump's wall is cost. According to Gershon Dublin and Josef A. Paradiso, the authors of Extrasensory Perception, state in their articles, sensors have become abundant because they have, for the most part, followed Moore's law. They just keep getting smaller, cheaper, and more powerful. Opposed to Trump's wall, which is not only makes it somewhat easy for smugglers to get across undetected, it also costs $10 to $12 billion to produce. When it comes to effective detection and cost-sensory technology, securing the border is the most effective strategy to protect American citizens. Yeah.
All right, Joseph. First question is, how did your research question evolve as you went through this process?
So at the beginning, I think my question was a bit too broad. It was more focusing on everything that was going wrong with the border, and then after reading a lot about sensory technology and the drug crisis in the U.S., I was able to scope my question down to focusing on protection against drugs, opposed to protection against immigrants.
So as you were doing your research to answer this question, what other kinds of questions kind of bubbled up for you? That you maybe didn't answer but would have.
Oh, okay. So I think one of the main questions was a debate about if I should talk about immigrants or drugs or even both. So while researching, a lot of my information that I found dealt with both. So I was asking questions like if I should include immigrants or should I make it only about immigrants or should I make it about drugs and only drugs. So with those questions help focus my research even more and scope my question down more. Yeah.